Well, I hope you didn't bet on the election. You can't bet on the election. But I'm nevertheless thrilled to talk about parks all of Pennsylvania, which happens to be in my native Bucks County. A lot in the news last night as the election returns were coming in. Parks, they've got it all. World-class headliners at the Excite Center, the open-air Liberty Bell Beer Garden, the Parks Grill Steakhouse, Bamboo Noodle House. I could eat a steak and some noodles right now. Just a few of the outstanding restaurants, action, excitement, live entertainment. It's a destination. It's Parks Casino. Time now for the headlines from Smerconish.com, the newsletter. TC, as you know, last night from 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time until midnight, I was on set for CNN with Wolf Blitzer and Casey Hunt from Philadelphia covering the election. I voiced my opinion. I listened to others express their opinion, and I saw lots of data about last night's election returns in Pennsylvania, the gubernatorial race, and of course the Senate race. I know that right now people are looking to me, watching me, listening to me, wanting some insight, some inside information because the Senate race is unresolved. Are you ready for me to provide that insight?
Wow, I am ready.
All right. This is the Johnny Depp Amber Heard analysis of the outcome of the Pennsylvania Senate race. Okay?
Okay.
Because I've been paying attention to Court TV, and on Court TV, I have seen one Janine Driver, and Janine Driver is the body language expert.
Okay.
And she is the one who has provided insight into Amber Heard, you know, the twitching as she testifies, or whether she's looking at the jury and whether she should be looking at the jury at a particular time, or whether it's an awkward glance at the jury, whether Johnny looks truthful in what he's saying, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot to be gleaned from body language, according to Janine Driver, who has convinced me of such.
Okay.
You with me?
I am with you. So what are you learning from someone's body language?
Okay. Throw out everything you heard on television last night and wherever you heard it. Hopefully on CNN, but maybe you watched Fox, maybe you watched MSNBC, maybe you're watching a local channel. Forget everything you heard, everything you read
All right.
about the election return. Instead, if you can remember, conjure up the vision of what the candidate wives look like.
Okay. Because
I am often, even before Janine Driver and Amber Heard and Johnny Depp, I've long been a believer that spouses, and it goes both ways, that spouses are the tell, right? Like it doesn't matter. Like it could be you're a man or you're a woman, or it could be in a same-sex relationship, but you go to the holiday event with the coworkers, and the partner, I'll say the partner is the tell.
In other words, if you wonder how someone feels about you that you work with, when you meet their spouse at the Christmas party, you'll be able to tell by how they treat you,
right,
what your colleague thinks of you.
Exactly.
Smart.
Like you're not sure, you're not sure what your coworker really thinks about you.
Right.
And now you're at the Christmas party for the firm, and you're drinking the eggnog, and it's like, ooh, they give you a vibe that lets you know
either the cold shoulder,
they don't like you because your coworker really doesn't like you.
Wow.
You with me so far?
I'm totally with you.
Okay. Now, this theory that I'm advancing, do you like it? I think you do like it.
I do like it. And actually now I'm thinking back to the wives, and I have an opinion.
All right, hold on.
Okay, but I have an opinion.
This theory, I need to say, presupposes that the families, the candidates themselves know something.
Right.
They may not know anything. I acknowledge that up front. They may not know anything because, I mean, the rest of us, frankly, don't know anything.
Okay.
And the people responsible for counting the ballots, they don't know anything other than Oz and McCormick are neck and neck.
True.
So I acknowledge that. But assuming the candidates and therefore the spouses know a little something, I want to point out that Dina Powell, the wife of Dave McCormick, sure seemed in a happier, better place when McCormick came out at 11:30 last night than did Lisa Oz when she came out with Dr. Oz 20 minutes later.
Okay.
By the way, very, very smart on McCormick's part to get out there at 11:30, because I was on the CNN set and it became obvious this is not going to get called tonight.
Right.
Well, the only people that matter for the purpose of McCormick and Oz last night are Pennsylvanians. It was already 11:30. People are going to bed.
Go to bed. Let me get out and be
Get
seen.
out there.
Right.
Get out there and say something. So McCormick was wise to get out and say, hey, thank you. I think we're going to win. We're going to bed. And then, Oz came out
Sort of
sooner
had
after.
to.
But I'm telling you in all candor that the difference between the spouses and maybe, Lisa Oz had just had it and she was wiped out.
I took it a different. Now I'm
making you
open.
think, aren't I?
You're very much making me think. I'm open to your theory, and I think you might be onto something. My take, because I did notice that there was a marked difference between the two. I thought it was because Lisa Oz thought they were going to win last night. So she thought they were doing worse than she thought they were going to do, whereas Dina Powell thought they were doing better than she thought they would do.
In other words,
I thought they were giving themselves away for how they thought they
wait a
would
minute.
do.
In other words, going in, you think the Oz camp expected to
totally win,
and it's like, oh my God, we might lose.
A recount?
And meanwhile, you think the McCormick people thought we're gonna lose,
and now,
God, wait a minute, we might win.
It's a matter of perspective, and that's how I took it. But I am willing to entertain the theory that there's something else going on.
I just want to deposit to you that I, with all of this knowledge and data, because after all, I was on CNN for 4 hours last night. That is the best I can offer you.
Well,
about the outcome of the election. Okay. I'm analyzing in the same way that the body language expert is looking at Amber Heard.
And you seem very fired up this morning. I
am on fumes.
No, I keep commenting though, because you are so. First of all, what's the situation with the hat, the cash?
It's the morning after. On? I mean, it's like I'm just punch drunk. I'm punch drunk in a stone cold sober way. It's just if I was lucky, I got 4 hours last night.
Hat.
TC, I don't want you to see that I haven't done my hair today. Okay, give me a break.
Speaking of which, last night was a good night to be bald, where you guys were on set. The first part when it was you and Wolf and Casey Hunt. Her hair was going all over the place. It was getting stuck in her lipstick. It was a disaster. And then the next time they panned to you guys, had someone done it for her? I need information. Her hair was completely pulled back.
She first tried duct tape. First of all, I thought she was great. I loved being with her and had never worked with her before.
But literally, it was
Casey
like
Hunt. Well, I'll tell you, the funny thing is, the funny thing is that it was yours truly, Casey Hunt, and Wolf Blitzer.
And where were you physically?
We were.
I saw what you were overlooking, but I couldn't picture the building.
We were on the 5th floor of the American Museum of Jewish History.
Oh, of course.
Which is on Independence Mall in Philadelphia, with Independence Hall at one end, and the National Constitution Center at the other. And in the midway point,
stunning.
Here we were with Independence Hall in the background, which I don't know how it looked on TV. I would imagine it looked cool.
Very cool.
Because Independence Hall was lit up. So,
but it was actually gusty wind last night.
So when we arrived on set, which was at about 7:15, the sun was not yet setting. It had been a 75-degree day in Philadelphia. The weather was still gorgeous.
Perfect night.
But as the night progressed, when I was young, when I was in junior high and high school, my dad, my brother, and I had Eagles season tickets, and we were at the top of Veterans Stadium in the end zone, and we were in a row that had a wind tunnel behind us.
Well,
and I felt like I was in Veterans Stadium last because I was freezing. So was Casey as the hunt went on. Oh my God, I'm so tired. As the night went on, and here's the funny thing about it, though. I'll tell you this: Wolf, like the veteran who has seen it all. Wolf just sat there with his suit coat button,
like literally nothing.
Just didn't move. I'm like, Wolf, are you cold? It's like, yeah. And just nothing, like nothing was gonna phase. I'm chattering. Casey's chattering, like, oh my God, our teeth are chattering. So, but it was a gorgeous vista I was happy to be associated with the coverage. And it was just kind of funny because there was nobody around. Like it was the three of us on the set.
That's what I wondered. So when you arrived there, I really want to know everything. So when you arrived there, did you go to the front door of the museum? Did they tell you where to go?
No, came in through the loading dock.
They told you to come in through the loading dock.
Yeah, everything was locked down,
Everything was
for
locked down.
security reasons.
So
and I don't mean because of CNN being there. I mean, it was in a lock. It's a museum.
Right.
It's a museum. They have priceless artifacts there.
Okay, so you come in and it's the three of you as the anchors, but then how big a crew?
Just a handful of people.
Yeah.
I thought because I've been to this dance many, many times now. I knew there was going to be a panel in New York that Anderson, 2 panels actually, that Anderson was going to moderate.
Right.
And then Jake and Dana were going to be in Washington. And we were sort of this outpost in Philly. I know the drill. The drill is that once an hour, maybe twice, they'll come to you for 3 minutes and that's it.
Yeah.
So I thought that we would walk out onto the balcony when it was time for our hit.
Nope.
No, we sat there the whole time, except for
you didn't have a table in front of you. You
nothing.
Didn't have, because that's why I was thinking like it'd be on your computer or something.
No.
But you didn't.
No.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, and then so Anderson had, I'm trying to think, David Axelrod,
well, he had
Gloria Borger,
he had Chris Wallace.
And Chris Wallace.
Yeah, Chris Wallace. So, Casey Hunt came to CNN for CNN Plus.
Yep.
And so too did Chris Wallace. And you see that both of them were utilized last night.
Interesting.
So
Very
anyway,
interesting.
that Pennsylvania, Mastriano wins as expected for governor. Josh Shapiro was unopposed. That's
there was a CNN special, race alert when he was
for
declared.
Josh. I couldn't believe it. Race alert. We can now predict Josh Shapiro.
I died.
He had no opponent.
Oh,
okay.
yeah. Okay.
The Senate side, Fetterman wins handily. If everybody knows this by now,
Right.
and Oz and McCormick, it's going to take a while. Look, human factors. You remember the quote from David Litt's book about it's like opening up a Starbucks as a pop-up all across. Stuff happens.
Right.
And the stuff is happening in Lancaster County where 2/3 of the mail-in ballots wouldn't scan. So it might come down to that. And in the mail-in ballots, there's a perception that McCormick holds the edge, but who knows? Go back and look at the body language of the spouses.
That's right.
Because I think that's as reliable as it gets. Okay.
All
right. Those are the election. And Madison Cawthorn, the 26-year-old, losing in your native North Carolina is really the other big story of the night.
And conceded, which I wasn't sure whether he would do that just because of the nature of politics these days. But
Well,
he did.
if this were a general election and not a primary election, I suspect there would be people making allegations of vote fraud in Pennsylvania.
Right.
But because it's all, ours so far, no. How about this? Yesterday at Smerconish.com, TC, have we ever hit 13,681 in a weekday survey question before?
I'm going to say no. I think we've approached 13. Maybe we've gotten top high 12s once before, maybe.
So
but that's a big
here's
number.
the question that generated that kind of interest. Do you believe that a group of people is trying to replace native-born Americans with immigrants, keywords now, for electoral gains? 86% of our audience, actually 86.99, said no. And I was interested in specifically what was the number who would say no, because according to AP, 32% agree with that idea. Let me say it more clearly. Only 13.01% of those who went to Smerconish.com and voted yesterday on the survey question, only 13.1% agree with replacement theory versus the national average scientific Associated Press NORC survey, 32%. Thank goodness our audience believes that a lot less than the national average. With regard to the Buffalo shooting, and this is what puts it in everybody's mind, President and First Lady, of course, went and paid respects to the victim family members in Buffalo. Despite describing the shooting as an act of domestic terrorism, he declined to do any actual exposing of the names that he holds accountable for replacement theory. Good Politico analysis today in the newsletter that says Biden's aides say that his reticence is deliberate. And it underscores just how delicate he and his administration view the current tinderbox that is American politics. They have been reluctant to call out individuals by name precisely out of fear that it would distract from the substance of the problem and give more attention to the conspiracy, which of course holds that white Americans are being replaced by non-whites orchestrated by a cabal of elites who want to help Democrats win office. If you want the flip side of all of this, go to the Wall Street Journal lead editorial today, also at Smerconish.com, where I'm trying to deliver balance daily. The Wall Street Journal says this: Democrats in the mainstream media want to use replacement theory as a stigma to smear as racist anyone who doesn't like open borders or critical race theory or the Democratic Party's hyper-race consciousness. Quote, exploiting a mass murder is despicable, but especially when it's a political strategy to hang on to power in an election year. That's the Buffalo update. Relative to the president and social media, I find this very interesting, not surprising to me. It's been estimated by the software company SparkToro that almost half of President Biden's current 22.2 million followers on Twitter are fake accounts. And I'm not saying it to single out the president. I think the same is true on the right. I've long said that I find my hunch, my gut, just an opinion, that I find that the tabulation of the number of Twitter followers for so many is bogus. Relative to Twitter, and coming full circle now on so-called replacement theory, how about this question? Will Twitter and other social media platforms ultimately take down any references to replacement theory? That's a subject we need to spend more time on the program when time allows, and sadly it doesn't today. TC, yesterday I ran the Sports Illustrated cover on Smerconish.com of a what would I say? A plus-sized woman.
Sure.
Plus-sized woman.
First time a plus-size model has gone on the front of Sports Illustrated.
Do you know the clinical psychologist whose name is Dr. Jordan Peterson?
Only because I'm a subscriber to the Smerconish.com newsletter. And so
it costs you nothing.
So both yesterday and today, there was an update. I saw pieces on him.
Quote, sorry, not beautiful, and no amount of tolerance is going to change that. He then, like someone, leaving the bar, handed off his car keys to his staff, in this case, not his car keys, but his Twitter password, and says, that's it. I'm not saying anything else on Twitter. What do you make of that?
I think it's interesting that the good doctor has so little control that he has to give his accounts to somebody else and have them lock them up. It's amazing to me. The whole thing is amazing to me.
Under the headline Poetic Justice, Eric Clapton, who last summer declared that he had reserved the right to cancel performances at venues where audience members were required to show proof of COVID. Okay, I'm reserving the right to play your arena if you're going to demand of my fans that they be vaccinated. Yes, that Eric Clapton has COVID and has canceled 2 shows. Clapton just tested positive for coronavirus. In royal news, the Queen made a surprise visit to Paddington Station.
I love that.
Have you seen the images of Paddington Station?
She looks fantastic.
So does the station.
I saw the images of, in other words, they revamped the Elizabeth line.
Oh my God. The Elizabeth line is brand spanking new.
Okay, what it used to look like.
Massive. A lot of it is uncharted territory.
Oh.
And she looked great.
Uncharted or chartered?
What did I say?
Are they chartering a boat to it?
Hey, 4 hours, baby. 4 frickin' hours. Okay.
You're going to crash right
and
after
then
the show.
I'll end where I started. Which is in making reference to Johnny Depp and Amber Heard.
Oh boy.
Elizabeth Harmsworth, which sounds like just I should be sipping tea when I say that.
You should be.
Elizabeth Harmsworth, writing for The Spectator.
Wait, do you know who she is?
No,
Elizabeth
I have no
Harmsworth?
idea. All I know is she wrote a provocative essay, and I put it in Smerconish.com newsletter today.
Okay, that's really interesting. So her father is a Viscount who owns the Daily Mail.
Is he Lord
media,
Harmsworth?
Viscount. So he owns the whole.
Joking?
No, I'm not joking at all. No. Her father owns the whole Daily Mail franchise.
Oh.
She's a total heiress.
Oh.
And I think she's like 24, 25.
Okay, I have no
Instagram.
idea who she is. You follow her on Instagram?
Well, because she's, an influencer.
Oh my God. I'm an influencer. Okay. Follow me.
I follow you too.
Anyway, listen to this relative to Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. My view is perhaps more sordid Watching the trial quite closely, I can't help but wonder, is this some sort of legal-themed role play? Is it possible that Heard versus Depp is actually one big sexual fantasy being played out in a court of law before the world's media? And there's more to it, but I think she's onto something.
Oh my.
I think that the two of them are like, I don't even know, what should I say? One swipe away from just taking it down the hall.
Wow, Michael. Wow. You got a lot to say this morning. This is amazing.
This is me on 4 hours.
Wow.
This is me on 4 hours.
I think it's time for a nap.
Yeah, it is. Okay, Smerconish.com, the survey question of the day today. Do you believe that any of the unidentified aerial phenomena, UAP, are extraterrestrial? Go vote at Smerconish.com on today's UFO question. Whoops, now I just banged the microphone. Okay, thank you. See ya.